Check, 1 2 1 2.
Turn it up, turn it up.
Welcome to the Foreclosure Deals Coach Podcast.
The tides are turning, the time is now.
Your home for the mindset, methodology, and tools needed to invest in foreclosures.
Don't you dare buy a house, buy a deal. You need to get into this right now.
Right now, yeah.
And now your host, the Foreclosure Deals Coach, Donny Corum.
Hello, and welcome back to the Foreclosure Deals Coach Podcast. I am your host and Foreclosure Deals Coach, Mr. Donny Corum. As always, I've got my main man and executive producer with me, Jonathan Winston. What's going on, Jay?
I'm doing very well, man. I don't want to start the show out on too somber of a note, but we do want to send condolences out to DMX and his family. He has recently passed. Everybody's kind of talking about that.
Terrible.
Kind of sucks, but, everybody just, send positive energy that way. Don't try to, make any, claims or anything like that. Just let everybody handle it how they will, and we'll just keep on moving and wishing them well. So.
I remember listening to DMX, and then, his second album got a little dark for us. It's dark and hell is hot. I'm like, what? Are you all right, DMX? Like, why
DMX,
are you still upset, man?
DMX had a lot going on.
He had a lot going on. So, rest in peace, DMX. It's such a loss in the rap game, and that's a sad story. All right, well, let's lighten the mood a little bit from that tone. You guys are in for a hell of a treat today. We've got a wonderful guest with us. And as you guys know, being on the Foreclosure Deals Coach, I have coaching clients. So one of the cool parts about having coaching clients is to bring them on the show and tell their story about why they decided to go into coaching. And we are honored to have Miss Sarah McGarry with us. Let's get Sarah in the room with us right now.
Yeah,
Here she is. It's Sarah McGarry, ladies and gentlemen. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sarah McGarry.
Oh, thank you.
How are you doing today? How's things?
Doing good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously we bring people on the show when they join our coaching program. So Sarah's our newest coaching client. We're so excited to have you. Let's get a little background. Obviously, you're a real estate agent. We can tell by that really awesome vest you're wearing right now from Remax. So
Thank you.
how long you been in the real estate game?
So almost 6 years, just
Okay.
shy of 6 years.
All right, what were you doing before?
No, I was in sales. I was actually working for Carnival Cruise Lines.
Oh, wow.
Selling cruises. So
All right.
sales is just kind of my shtick, I guess.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Honestly, it's funny how many sales industries kind of end up in real estate, right? Because the money's just a little bit better here than, say, cruise lines, right?
Right,
So
yeah.
you're probably like, that
Especially
was fun.
during COVID. Like, thank
Right.
God I wasn't working
Oh, I
for them
know.
last year.
Can you
2020.
imagine? Can you imagine cruise
I-
salespeople right now? Or
Yeah, I
like,
still know people who are working there. And I was like,
seriously?
"Gosh, you guys need to get into real estate.
Do something.
Yeah.
Do something,
Do
you know?
something.
Well, awesome to have you. Obviously, you've joined up recently with the Foreclosure Deals Coaching
Mhm.
Program. And what we'd like to do on this show is just kind of go over what made you decide to join coaching. But before we get to that, 6 years in the game
Yeah.
as a real estate agent, obviously you're out there dealing with this extremely crazy market of Colorado Springs, Colorado. Tell me what's going on from your perspective in the Colorado Springs real estate market right now.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. Last year, 2020, ended up being my best year in
Awesome.
real estate, actually. So it was a great year. 2021 is starting off very difficult. I
Sure.
mean, buyers are having a heck of a time getting, properties.
Mhm.
There's a lot of cash, and being that we are in a heavy military community, those VA loans, they're told kind of upfront that they 0 down, you don't have to bring any money,
It's a
and
great
that's
program.
just not the case, though,
Right.
for them to get offers accepted. So
And why is that? Why is a VA guy not getting his offer accepted in this market?
yeah, so it really boils down to appraisal.
Okay.
A VA appraisal can be a little bit more complicated or in depth,
Mhm.
protecting that investment from the lender perspective.
Yes.
But also, within the competitive nature of the offers, there's a lot of appraisal gaps, and
Yes.
people are waiving those appraisals. They are just offering cash to cover any deficiency that may come in. And that could be tens of thousands of dollars up to $50,000, $60,000, and VA buyers just can't compete with that.
And it's sad, right? Because
It
obviously
is.
you got somebody who's serving our country,
Right.
and a lot of times literally getting shot at,
Yeah.
who's now trying to buy a house right here
Uh-huh.
in the market and can't compete with a VA offer. We did a whole show on appraisal gaps, and I did my rant. So I'm going to try to stay calm, not head down that road again. Right. But I mean, obviously, what's your opinion on appraisal gaps? I mean, I know they're a necessary evil, but how do you feel about doing that right now?
So, I'm torn. And it's something that I really toy with, I guess, in my own moral compass, being that in one hand, I'm advising my clients to offer tens of thousands of dollars over
the appraised value,
whether I agree with that appraisal or not, but just advising that. And then on the other hand, if I'm not advising them to do that, I'm advising them to rent or be homeless. And I still think homeownership is a better option. So, and
I totally agree. I feel the torn on that, right? Because at the end of the day, as opposed to living in a box, owning a house is probably a better option, right?
Yeah.
The option of overpaying on appraisal, it sucks, but the alternative may be to buy later, which we don't know what later is going to hold right now, right?
Yeah.
So it's a tough call. But recently you did a deal on one of our properties where we were working together to remodel the property in the middle of the process. And obviously I want to talk about your coaching thing, but I know a lot of agents here in Colorado Springs and surrounding areas listen to the show. So tell me how that's going. We just went under contract. Tell me about the property. Why is your buyer buying this in a home in need of work from us? And how do you think it's going to end up?
So we have been shopping. I've been shopping with this buyer for quite some time.
Okay.
And they are actually relocating here from Hawaii.
Oh,
so
nice.
It's virtual. So everything, thank God for technology. Amen. I think one thing that came out of last year is the technology and the fact that people can understand the fact of, our virtual reality that is now our reality. So that's kind of helpful. So it's been a lot of virtual showings. We've done multiple offers. The RVA, they do have some cash to offer appraisal gaps, and we still have been outbid.
How many offers did you put in and get outbid on? Do you remember?
We put in 3.
Okay.
So we put in 3 very competitive, strong offers. I mean, agents nowadays are even offering to buy tacos for sellers, which I take
tacos.
I would probably take that too.
I want tacos right now, actually.
Tacos. Year's worth of tacos. I mean, I don't have any kids, so I can't offer my firstborn or my soul up.
Later on.
Maybe someday. So it's
future
really
husband, watch out. She's making promises.
Selling my soul, devil went down to Georgia kind of thing, right? I mean, it's impossible.
So you're 3 offers in, you keep getting outbid, right? And so we have a conversation kind of through the coaching, but just kind of in general interacting, because a lot of people are posting. We have this really cool off-market group here in the Colorado Springs market,
fantastic.
Right? So people are posting, I love this, looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, needs to be under 200,000, must have helicopter landing pad.
20.
And the responses are like, have a better chance of finding a unicorn on fire, right? So I love the group, but I remember I actually saw you posted there a couple of times looking for, I don't know if it's this buyer, but buyers in general, right? Trying to find that unicorn deal, because right now all the deals are unicorns, right? So you stumble upon this property. The buyers are way off in Hawaii, which for them is a blessing because our weather just can't make a decision right now.
So I wouldn't move from Hawaii if it were me, but
Well, and they're retiring. So I mean, they're moving to retire, which is kind of backwards, I think.
I know.
I mean,
feels like you should go the other direction. Your buyers are confused. So they're coming out here and they're buying this house sight unseen right now. So did you, we do a Matterport in all of our properties. Did you send them the Matterport?
I sent them the Matterport.
Okay.
And then did have it listed in the MLS. So I sent them that so they could look at bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, kind of lay of the land. And then of course, Google Earth, is a great resource.
They can see the neighborhood.
They can see the neighborhood. So they knew that it was on a corner street, which, was something that was important, but that didn't deter them from wanting to buy the house. But I'm glad that they had already kind of
seen it in a way, right? Quote unquote, right?
Right, exactly.
So that's incredible.
It is.
So they've seen the neighborhood virtually. They've walked to the house virtually. But this is one of our in-process remodels. So this house isn't anywhere near done, right?
Exactly.
It needs flooring. It needs paint. This one was actually rougher than usual, believe it or not. So this was a rougher deal. So obviously you had to paint a picture, a vision of what it was going to look like. How did you go about doing that? How do you explain to a verbal buyer, I know it doesn't look so great now, but it's going to look great? How did that conversation go?
So I did do a FaceTime.
Okay.
And walk through the property with them.
Excellent.
So I went through and I had already talked to your ops team. And actually there was a gal in there doing some tile work too. So I did have a pretty clear vision of what we're planning to do.
Yes.
And I just walked through and I was like, this looks like it's the paint color. It's nice and fresh. It's not all the way done, but there was no kitchen, cabinets and everything had been pulled out. So I just kind of gave them as good a perspective as I could, picture new cabinets here. This will be, and you had the flooring kind of there,
the samples,
some of the tile work that was going to be the backsplash in the kitchen.
Yes.
A lot of those were in boxes there. So I was able to show them just on FaceTime what it's kind of going to look like. And they were very excited.
So they've contracted on a house that still needs work from halfway across the country here, right? That they're not going to see till they're moving in. Obviously, this is tough because you have a fiduciary responsibility and a personal responsibility to your client, right? And that's a big thing because I know agents are out there trying to do right by their clients, but we're back to this appraisal gap discussion, right? Where are we doing right by our clients if we are overpaying severely? But you're not overpaying for this house, are you? You're going to get an appraised value, right? So the upside is because you're walking through the work, you're not overpaying.
Exactly.
So, and you got to look at it from our perspective real quick, guys. And I want to jump in on Sarah's interview, but from the seller perspective, the investor that I represent in this deal, we would rather get the house set to build to what the client wants, as opposed to trying to put a product out there and try to guess what the customer wants, right? So you guys are coming in and defining some stuff for us, which I think makes way more sense. You were going to say something, Jay?
That's really powerful for a buyer to be able to, like you said, get a house, not have to overpay for it. If they have that imagination and that ability to visualize and have a good agent like Sarah who can, paint that picture for them, to be able to, come in and customize your house to how you want it and still get exactly what you're looking for is very, very powerful. So it's one of those things to where you kind of, if I'm talking to somebody who's asking about our, program and how we do things, you're trying to explain it to them and walk them through the process, but, having the ability to, hey, look at this Matterport. Hey, I'm going to go over here and do this FaceTime or, hey, here's some tiles and different things like that. That just gives the buyer and the buyer's agent a lot more leveraging power and just a lot more, gumption to be able to get to what they want.
It does. And I think it's a better move for the client. And obviously I'm a little biased because I'm the seller here, right? But I feel like you're doing right by your client by helping them walk through it. But I love what you said there, Dave, about the vision part, because I think having the vision to say, I know it doesn't look great now, but it's going to, was there any kickback on that? Like, was the client resistant?
No, the one thing that they asked and we were able to come to a decision on was ceiling fans in some of the bedrooms, that type of thing. So there was a couple of questions that they'd asked, like, oh, there's no ceiling fans in there. I'm like, whoa, well, we can maybe make that happen.
We certainly can make it happen.
Exactly. And we were able to. So, I think that walking through properties, especially in a virtual platform, you have those questions where they're like, oh, wait, can you go back? Is that a wall, or can you explain this a little bit further? And so some of those questions were actually able to become their reality when normally they were just asking if it was a light fixture versus a fan, but we could do it. You were able to do fans. So,
incredible. And I'll tell you, one of the things we pride ourselves on, and I'm speaking for my investor population that I represent to help get through the investment deals, we really want to make sure the client is happy with the end product, right? So have you ever sold a new build?
I have.
And you're selling yourself a new build right now.
I'm buying one myself.
Okay, so you're going through this process in real time where you're buying literally a hole in the ground that one day is going to be a house, right? But in new build world, people are more comfortable with that, right? Because you know the builder's going to build what you want. Or you're just not going to buy the house, right? If you show up and things like sideways and it's broken, you're just not going to buy it, right? So for some reason, that doesn't translate as well to resale homes. And that's been our struggle. How did you deal with that mentally on kind of explaining it and dealing with it yourself personally, that this is going to look better in the future? How did you get over that?
You mean as far as with this property walking?
Yeah,
through?
like going back to this one, how did you overcome that?
Well, I think what was really helpful was having some of the samples of what was going to be in the
Okay.
homes there. I
Okay.
think that was really helpful. I mean, there was no kitchen.
Right. We tore
It
the
was
cabinets out.
completely, it was just it could have been a bedroom. It could have been anything, it could have been anything.
Sure.
So I think having some of the samples there was really helpful.
Yeah,
So
okay.
that just to kind of give them, because I've been doing this for so long, sold multiple, new builds.
Yep.
And I have that vision,
Yes.
but it's hard to, especially somebody virtual, to kind of give that.
Absolutely.
To them. So I think having some of those samples and just giving them a little bit of playroom with what they want, but also saying, here's what is already ordered and already here.
I love it.
Going in.
Hey, well, kudos on the deal. I really appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
I do want to get to the coaching talk of this, but just want to get the message out there because I know a lot of your real estate buddies are going to hear this show,
definitely.
and just kind of giving some comfort zone that obviously if you can get through the process with a client from the other side of the planet, practically, certainly other agents can do that as well.
Yeah,
right?
I think it'd be much easier if they were in person.
That would save a lot of time.
So
right?
bring your buyers.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's get on with it here. Let's talk about the foreclosures coaching. So we met up probably a good couple of months ago.
Yeah.
We were talking about your struggles and trying to find the next deal for your buyers and the understanding that maybe the market's not going to be what it was for you last year, which you said was your best year ever.
Yep.
Walk me through that thought process before you and I spoke. What were you thinking about the market and the future of your career in general?
Yeah, so I'm a listing agent as well as a buyer's agent.
Okay.
The buyer's process or buyer experience has always kind of been my favorite.
Sure.
It's very exciting to get people into homes. So I like that. And so I work with a lot of buyers.
Sure.
It has gotten very difficult to get them under contract. So I just kind of decided to get a little creative. That's when I took to Facebook to try and find off-market properties for my clients. I've sent letters, no response, all of that,
that rigmarole.
That rigmarole. So that's where I had met you actually on a few different cases.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the most consistent things with Facebook and reaching out to those groups for my client's behalf was honestly you having
inventory
to offer.
Because I've always got something, right? My investors, and that's what's funny about working in such a small town. Like my investor group always has something. Now, is it going to fit your needs? We don't know,
it
right?
May or may not have fit. I've showed a couple. Maybe they just weren't interested when I sent them the Matterport. But regardless, you always had something to offer.
Absolutely, and so that's an upside. And I try to get that out. When people like, I'm looking for this, or I've got a buyer need, which pretty much describes the entire city right now, right? People are sitting on 8, 10 pre-qualified buyers, but no houses to sell right now, right? So I try to put it out there, get in touch with my listing agent, talk to Kevin. Kevin can walk you through what we've got. So we had a discussion on multiple properties, but obviously that didn't gel at that point. It did later on. Goodness. But you're thinking to yourself, I had my best year in 2020, but things are not looking good in 2021. Go over that process with me. How did that feel?
Yeah, it's terrifying. When you're it's terrifying to, from when your income is I'm a single household income, so it's just me. And my income is 100% based on closing deals, whether I'm helping somebody buy or sell a home.
That's right.
So that's my entire livelihood. So it's scary when, listings are hard to come by.
Yep. Because nobody wants to sell right now.
Nobody wants to sell. Everyone's scared to sell. And buyers are hard to get under contract. And then a lot of the things that I tried in the past that worked for a little while and really don't work as much anymore would be, offering up a commission reduction on my end, offering to pay for things on the seller's behalf, title insurance and that type of thing. And so again, that's still taken out of
it's reducing your margin.
It's reducing my margin, but yet something's better than nothing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So here you are terrified. You're coming up the year of your life at 2020. You're in 21. You're terrified. I remember distinctly our first conversation, just kind of going over the state of the market and how you were feeling. And obviously I feel the same way, but we decided to meet up. Right? We had our initial consultation. We sat down. We went over whether or not coaching is right for you. Okay. Right. So obviously, you know, the 4-part process. We're still in the first part of the process. We're looking to find your first deal out there. How is that going? How's the hunting process going for finding a deal? Hi, this is Donny Corum, your foreclosure deals coach. You know, one question I'm asked all the time is, how do I get started in real estate investing? Here's the thing. In order to get into the game, you got to have access to the big data that drives the real estate market. After all, you wouldn't trade stocks without a trading platform, and you shouldn't get started in investing in real estate without dealhunter.io. Dealhunter.io is an application that I use daily to find the best deals in the real estate market, to provide that information to my lending partners so I can fund those deals, to know how to fix those deals, to bring them in line with the market, and most importantly, how to sell those deals at a profit. So if you're looking to get started in real estate investing, head on out to dealhunter.io and sign up for a free 7-day trial of the PropStream application that'll separate you from other competitors of the real estate market. With that, this is Donny Corum from dealhunter.io reminding you, don't buy a house, buy a deal.
It's going well. And, you know, kind of going back to my retail real estate and the buyer perspective is kind of what I enjoy. So I actually enjoy looking on the MLS. I enjoy looking at homes. I looked at the one investment property actually the other day that kind of looked like it had some structural, probably too much for me, but I'm enjoying it. Good. I like the numbers and running the stats and just finding out kind of what the market is doing and, you know, how I can get my hands on some off-market properties.
Now, I remember we were discussing coaching. Go ahead.
But let me jump in real quick. What you said right there, Sarah, is really important, that you like to look at the numbers and that you don't mind getting on there and figuring out what the market is doing and different things like that. Me and Donny, and, you know, just what we talk about a lot on the show a lot is that although there are some really good agents like you, there are, you know, a lot out there that are just kind of, you know, just trying to figure out and see what's going to happen, you know, just throw a number out and see what sticks. So anybody listening out there that's maybe looking to buy a house or looking to list their house, you should definitely, I mean, you're in Colorado, you should definitely reach out to Sarah because she's doing the things that are actually conducive to closing deals and, you know, being a competent real estate agent.
Right.
Yeah. And for now, because like she may not be a competent real estate agent for too much longer, right? Because the idea behind the coaching product is that maybe you're transitioning. But I remember that the concern was, I mean, we talked about it multiple times. Are we going to be able to find a deal in this market?
Right.
You know, and it was a valid concern, but go over that. What were you feeling at that moment, asking me about whether you're going to find a deal or not? I remember we went over it a couple times.
Well, and I think coaching is great. Learning is always something that you should be doing. However, am I willing to invest into this coaching program just to learn when I really don't? There's nothing to purchase.
Right.
You know, so obviously I want to learn, but at the end of the day, I'm here to learn how to do it. And I'm a hands-on person. I'm ready to do it.
You want to do it, right?
So that's kind of where my hesitation was looking at the MLS and the things that I'm hunting for my clients and seeing the competitiveness that they're, you know, dealing with was scary for me to jump in on this thinking this is
there's
what
no
I'm
deals.
looking at too.
There's no deals, right? And so, and that's a completely valid concern, and I hope I addressed it effectively. But let's approach that right now, because in the end, if you're looking at the market that we're aware of on the MLS right now, you're not getting a full picture of what's actually happening in the marketplace. Have you? It's funny you said it. Like, I've been getting these text messages from this wholesale group for maybe years, right? But I've never really paid attention to them until now. See, so the reality is the off market's always been there. It's just not something until you're looking at it from an investor perspective that you pay attention to. Right? Now that you are in a position to purchase your first investment property, obviously you're paying attention to that, but are you also gaining the confidence that we're gonna find deals? Do you feel good about it right now?
I do. I feel,
good.
Yeah, I definitely do.
Good, because that's a big thing. I have to get, coaching, as you mentioned, is all about the mindset shift, right? What we do here, buy low, sell high, is not rocket science, right? The rocket science part of it comes into getting yourself over the processes that seem like they're impossible at the moment, right? So here we are, we're out looking for deals. We're in the first F of the 4F thing. Get your head out of the gutter. There's no cuss words in the 4 Fs.
We're a family show.
I mean, we could make it a 5. We could make it a 5 and that thing real quick. That's real estate for you.
Yeah, well, it's real estate agents. So right now, I mean, we're all a little profane, but the point, not on the show, damn it. But yeah, so we're in the first F of this. And so you're going through that process, but I mean, is it fun? Are you enjoying it? How does we meet up once a week?
Mm-hmm.
What have we been going over? What topics have you learned, I guess, since their first couple of weeks together?
Yeah, so it's really interesting because our last conversation on the coaching call was about hard money lenders and
funding.
having it funded. And that's really something that I've never had to consider, because when I'm shopping for deals for my clients, they
have loans.
Exactly. So it's definitely an interesting concept, having it really just being such a win for everyone involved.
Indeed.
As far as the whoever's putting up the cash is still getting a good return on that investment,
yes,
as well as us as the
investor doing the deal.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, it's just a mindset shift, right? So now you're approaching capital, I hope, in a different manner, because that's the second F. So we've got find, fund, fix, and flip, right? So we still got a couple F's to go over, but we're in the very early stages here, right? But the final and most important F is freedom. Right. So what are you going to do with that? Like, I mean, we're going to come back around here, but when you are free from the chains of retail real estate, right? What are you going to do with all that extra time? What do you think? You're going to join a rock band, maybe race some cars?
I'm going to join your band.
All right.
There he is.
There we go. Come on.
Yeah, Sarah McGarry, let's rock.
Do it.
You're welcome. It's going to be awesome. But what do you think you're going to do? What do you do with the extra time?
Travel. Okay. I just think not stress, be able to breathe and just do whatever I decide to do. And that's really kind of, heavy, being that, like I was saying before, when my income is based on closing these deals, like it would just be such a relief. So not stress and be able to travel. It'd
be a nice feeling, wouldn't it?
Very much.
And the thing about it is, in retail agency, I'll tell you, in flipping, we're still kind of deal dependent, right? Sure. Until you get to passive income, which is the fourth F, the freedom piece that we teach in the coaching product, you're still kind of deal dependent. But here's the big variable. Real estate agents are normally going off of what percentage of the deal? What are you expecting to make?
Well, 3%. But that's before, and that's if we're lucky. I mean, a lot of things are getting
cut down. Yeah. So 3% is what we used to get by, and now it's kind of 2.5. Might be dropping to 2, right?
Or if we get 3, the chances are we're going to have to buy a refrigerator or home warranty along the way.
Something's coming out of that, right?
Exactly.
So, and buyers, I've noticed, are unabashedly asking for commission now. Remember that used to be kind of something you didn't want to talk about. Now, have you noticed they're kind of asking without reserve now?
Yeah. Oh, and they'll ask to reduce it too.
It's crazy.
I know.
Hey, imagine going to your dentist and going, "Hey man, listen, I know you're gonna do the root canal and stuff, but because we're cool and all, could you kick me back a little of that dental action?"
Yeah, but then again, why don't we?
Touche.
Why don't we do that?
That's a valid point.
I mean, I'm not saying we should, but if they're beating me up, why
aren't we negotiating everything?
Why are we negotiating everything?
That's fact.
Yeah,
that is fact, right? But that's going to take us down a very dangerous. I know the agents right now are going.
Not pivoting down that.
Agents listening, going, "Sarah, shut up."
I know.
Yeah, but it's true. But the reality is the margins are getting tighter. Whereas in the investment space, believe it or not, the margins are getting greater. Right? Okay. We're buying at a lower wholesale rate than we ever have, because the motivated sellers are more motivated than they've ever been. Now the retail market's gone completely insane.
true.
Appraisal gaps are way off the charts. So the gaps, instead of working for 3%, what we're teaching here is how you're going to make 5, 6, maybe 10 to 12% of the deal. Does that not just get you all jazzed up?
Those are numbers that I definitely like.
Yes.
I love it.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the transition. But I will tell you, Sarah, that, just having you as a coaching client and a real estate agent, it's kind of changed my model a little bit too. So I want to thank you for that, because one of the cool things about working with you is I haven't had to go over the very, very basics. And to my coaching clients who I did, I'm not complaining. I still love y'all. Just calm down. I'm just saying it's been nice to be able to have a real estate based discussion with somebody who's already a professional in the industry. We're really looking at retargeting real estate agents trying to transition out of being real estate agents, because I'm just having a really good time explaining the higher level stuff and getting to that sooner. So thank you for helping me to learn that. What's the future for you? Obviously, you're going to do how many flips? If you could pick a utopian thing, how many flips a year do you think you'd want to do?
Well, at this point, I'm not looking to completely move out of my retail space.
Right.
So I would say I'd like to get to maybe 5 a year.
I'd like that. Okay.
As a beginning point until I get those systems kind of in place and the ball rolling and becomes a little more natural to me.
Yes.
We can always reevaluate those goals, but I think right now that's kind of what I'm thinking is 5 a year on top of, helping my clients.
Retail clients. Yeah. I think that's a great goal. And I think it's very realistic. I think try to get to one every other month or so is about a good target. And remember, the idea is transition, regardless of where you're coming from in coaching, whether it's retail, real estate, or whatever. The idea of this program is to help you transition if that's what you want to do. On the flip side of that, if retail ever comes back to normal, remember when things were normal?
I do.
Those were such good times.
It wasn't even that long ago.
It feels like it's
eternity, it feels like forever ago.
But if retail should ever stabilize, maybe you just continue to pursue that passion of helping buyers and do that. But if it doesn't, you're kind of hedging your bets here, right?
Exactly.
So you want to make sure your income's stable so you're not worried about those day-to-day income fluctuations that most retail buyers have to deal with, right?
Yep, absolutely.
I think it's incredible. Obviously, I'm biased, right? Because I'm the coach here. But I think most agents, because I transitioned out of being a real estate agent for 15 long years. Really, really long years.
Really long,
to being a full-time investor. And obviously it's my vision for my clients who want to achieve that. But I also love that this program allows you to continue to do both until you decide what your life goals are supposed to be. What challenges are you already facing? And maybe not that I've helped you overcome yet because it's so early, but what challenges are you, besides the retail market sucking, what are you dealing with on the flipping side that's bugging you at the moment? What areas are still kind of a challenge? Anything come to mind?
I mean, I think I'm still pretty new in the fact that, we've just kind of been looking around at places. We've talked about, funding and how that works. But really it's just kind of, finding the right one that's not going to be too much for my first one.
Absolutely.
But also, still make it a good spread. And so I think that's just kind of been, it's a marathon, not a race.
Amen.
And I honestly don't like to run at all, but but I'm not patient either. So
really? I never said about you at all. That's weird.
Yeah. So
Sarah's
I think honestly, probably having patience with the process is probably one of the hardest.
That is your challenge.
Yes. I jump in with both feet.
And I love that about you. And one of the things we do when we do the initial consultation, I tell people, if you sign up within 24 hours of the initial consultation, I give you a bit of a discount, is because I'd rather make less and get people who jump in with both feet than those who have to contemplate a while. It's not a sales tactic at all. I've just found that people who actually take action faster tend to get results. Did you do that with real estate too? Did you kind of leave it, just left the job and went for it, right?
I did.
And here you are 6 years later. Would you have stayed selling cruises? Would you even contemplated it?
No,
not a chance.
I've done great. I mean, on the retail, I'm not changing or exploring this because I'm not
happy where you are,
or happy in the retail space. I'm successful and I am happy. I'm just adding.
That's so smart. Because I think a lot of agents are one or two trick ponies right now, right? Either you're a buyer's agent, you're a listing agent, and that's kind of it, And the problem with that is, like you just said, the listing side's not doing too great, right? Because people don't want to sell. They want people in their houses right now, right? They don't know where they'll move to because there's nothing else to buy. right? So there's a whole bunch of
Exactly.
reasons that listings aren't working. And on the buy side, well, we need to go over that again. It's just, with the inventory shortage, the way things are, interest rates being low is actually hurting the buyer's market because the buying power has gone up so high.
That's true.
Right. And then you add appraisal gaps. It's a train wreck out there. Right. So you're hedging your bets, adding an additional source of income, and really just adding on to what you already knew in the retail space. What I love about our conversations is yeah, I mean, you've got it in a lot of senses, because it's just really taking the pieces you already understood and applying it to the investment space. It's just that now you're the buyer. Right. And that's got to feel a little bit different, right? That you're out there evaluating ugly houses to purchase.
Absolutely true. Yeah, it is. It's definitely different. And we joke in the beginning, and I'm like, I don't know, I can be really picky. I'm probably not going to, but you're like, well, Sarah, you can't think of it like that.
Right.
So it is definitely a mindset shift from, being that I'm helping people shop for houses or shopping for myself. I'm not really doing either. So it's strictly just for
I love it.
the investment. Yeah.
I love it. Going back to the freedom piece, do you have a retirement goal and age in mind? When do you want to get out of the game? Do you see yourself getting out of the game?
That's a good question. I honestly have not thought about that.
Okay. We're going to get to that in the coaching.
Yeah. Okay, good. I like to have a good savings. I'm a saver.
Yep.
And I also can be a spender, and I like to have a lot of fun.
Yes.
So I think right now in my life, that's kind of my two focuses. But obviously with real estate, there is no retirement.
Right. We don't get a retirement plan.
Yeah. So that's definitely something that is always on my mind. Setting those goals, though, is something I definitely should do.
Well, and it's hard because at the end of the day, especially when you're treading water like you are in retail at the moment, it's hard to imagine any spot to get out. And the other side of it is we generally love what we do here, right?
Yeah,
as opposed to having a real job.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Most people are like, why would I stop doing this? Right? Because this is awesome, as opposed to having to check in, at your job at Target or something one day, right?
Exactly.
So on the flip side of that, the final F, the freedom piece, which is kind of the bonus F, because it's not really tied to flipping, but how do you take the capital you're going to make and then reinvest it into passive income sources so you can ultimately not have to do anything?
Yeah.
That's a big part of what we teach here. And I'm excited to get to that part with you.
I'm excited for that.
That's going to be awesome, because it really opens your eyes up to working is cool.
Yeah.
Rocking out with your band is cooler.
Right.
Right. And that's just kind of got to be the goal that you're setting yourself on. Well, Sarah, I think that's about it. Unless there's anything else. Jonathan, what other questions? Did we miss anything that you think the listeners want to know about, Sarah?
Hey, man, you've been on fire today. You've been asking some good questions. I'm going to have to give it up to the coach today. So I feel like...
Actually, let's see what the audience thinks, guys. How did I
Oh my God, he's incredible. Okay, that was the audience. That was me. Sorry.
No, more. Well, Sarah, thank you for coming on. Would you come back when we get this first deal done?
I'd love to.
I'd love to have you back on the show. And just in general, I want to hear how the market is going. If you've got some cool stuff, it'd be good to have you on the show. I think people are really enjoying hearing your perspective on it. And do you mind if people reach out to you, ask you about the coaching product, how it's going? Okay.
Please. I'm in real estate sales and love to talk. So
cool.
Call me, text me, Facebook, whatever.
What's a good way to get hold of you? What's the best way? Would you prefer?
So I would say text is probably the number one way. Call or Facebook is fine too.
Okay.
But text is just easy because I can get
respond. So Facebook, you're cool with Facebook?
Cool too, yeah.
Yeah. So look up Sarah McGarry on Facebook, or shoot her a text or a message on Facebook, and just reach out. If you have any questions about coaching or real estate, or if you're a buyer out there who wants to work with somebody who gets this remodeling thing from ground up, where we're excited that you didn't just sell one of them, then your sister helped us sell another one. I know we were having some difficulty with that deal right now, but the message is spreading already, right? So that's super cool. So let's keep it going. And I'm excited to have you back on. Probably when we get the first deal under contract, you can see how scared you are, nervous at that point, because it's going to be a roller coaster emotionally then too. And we're going to get you through it and get you to the end game, make a lot of money doing some stuff.
And let's talk about how this deal I have under contract with you is going too.
I'd love that.
Yeah, as we get a little further.
That'd be great. Have you back on and discuss that. Hey, with that, guys, let's give it up once again for Sarah McGarry. So excited to have you. Thanks for joining us for the show. And listen, stay tuned, guys, because we're going to keep bringing on coaching students and other clients and just some more info about what's happening in this crazy real estate market that we're in. The time to take action on coaching, though, if you're giving it some thought, is right now. It has never been a better time to invest in real estate than right at this moment. I know it seems counterproductive. I know it seems like there are no deals out there. Trust me, everything that you're thinking about real estate investing right now has been completely turned on its head and it's off right now. I want to tell you more about that. Set up a strategy call today. Reach out to me or ask Sarah how it's going, and we'll discuss, what your experiences are through that process. I'd love to see you in our coaching group and get you started. With that, this is Donny Coram, your foreclosure deals coach, reminding you, well, you got to remember what we're saying here, Sarah. So I say, don't buy a house, buy a deal. Right?
Okay.
So you're going to join it and see, and you guys all have to join in that too just now, right? So we're going to, on the count of three, we're going to remind you once again, don't you dare buy a house, buy a deal.
Want more of the Foreclosure Deals Coach? Hit subscribe and stay tuned for more of the mindset, methodology, and tools you'll need to invest in foreclosures. Visit foreclosuredealscoach.com and text DEAL to get a list of foreclosures in your area.